You're listening to 101 with Tommie Zam. On the 77th episode, we sit down with Nicole Laurenne talking about music and life. Let's do this.
Hey, Nicole, how you doing?
I am doing so great. How are you doing?
Good. Well, I want to welcome you to 101. Today isn't just about records or tours. It's about evolution. And you moved through different sounds, different cities, different phases, and you live in Seattle, a city that shaped an entire era of music, a place that gave the world Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and that's kind of history carries weight, right?
It does. I'm sort of new to Seattle. I was in Phoenix for a long time and came here about 3.5 years ago. And just moving from the desert, and I honestly felt like it was kind of a desert in a lot of ways, scene-wise too. In some ways, it's picking up. But coming up to Seattle was like, it blew my mind. Like the scene here is so cool and so vibrant and so busy. And every genre of music, it's incredible. Everybody you meet is talented. I don't know. Yeah, Seattle's really special.
It definitely is. Because that's where grunge started, you know?
Yeah. And a lot of stuff before that, garage rock with the Sonics and, a lot of stuff, the Wailers, it goes way back. Jimi Hendrix is from here. Like there's a lot of history here.
And not just Sleepless in Seattle history.
Exactly. That's and to be honest, I didn't know a lot of the history until I came here, and then it's kind of all around you all the time. It's hard to miss.
I know. I went there one time, I think for a business trip, and I liked it. It was fun. I think we had a hotel downtown. It was really nice, and it was fun.
Yeah, it's nonstop. Even just like on a Wednesday night, you can go out and see, if you want to see jazz, there's like 13 venues to choose from, and they've all got national acts and locals. And it's just like, it's so amazing how supportive it is here for musicians and artists, for sure.
That's awesome. So, I want to start at the beginning of your life. When you look back at who you were before music became your life, what part of that younger version of you is still on the stage today?
All of her. It never was not part of my life that I can remember. I grew up in a family that wasn't into music. They were all scientists and stuff. And I was like the only one that was really obsessed with it. From the minute I put my little baby toddler hands on a little toy piano, I was obsessed. And it's never stopped for one single day. And although I had to have other careers and other things and families and all this stuff and fight my way to make it like a full-time constant thing that it is now, it never left me. It was always my number one thing. So you're getting on the stage, especially now, I think at this point in my life, you're seeing a lot of the real me that was that little kid who just wanted to do these exact things.
And that's pretty awesome. You're not coming from a musician family, you know what I mean? A music family.
Not at all.
And your parents are scientists.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool to think that, you know what I mean? Like your parents are scientists and then you became a musician. And so that they're probably like scratching their head like, whoa, what's going on here?
They totally were. They were, I think, pretty shocked that I loved the piano as much as I did. And my mom's from India, and she moved here in the 60s, met my dad, they got married. And so yeah, for her to come here, she was a physicist. My dad was a chemical engineer. Like my brother's a doctor. They're all like serious sciencey people. And yet my mom is also super competitive, and she loved when I started playing classical piano as a little kid and competing in the circuit of classical pianists and traveling all over and competing and winning. And she loved that part of it, so all through high school and everything, it was a huge part of my life, playing 4 to 6 hours a day, just being ready for these competitions and stuff.
Dude, that's pretty awesome. And what kind of music inspired you when you were that young?
Well, I was studying classical, so a lot of Beethoven and Mozart, and Russian composers, Khachaturian, and Polish composers like Chopin. And I don't know, just anything that was, I really liked music that was passionate. So, if it was bombastic and had a lot of, I don't know, sadness or anything that was intense, I always was drawn to that. I still am, obviously. And so that really did shape things. I didn't really have a sense for pop music until way later in life, and rock music definitely until way later. So I was fully absorbed in that classical scene.
So you were what, 6 years old when you started playing classic?
I was always tinkling around on the piano. There was always a piano in the house, and in the back, we even had a little toy piano in the back of our van, and would go on road trips, and I would just sit back there and play it. That was back when you didn't have to wear seatbelts. Like I never stopped playing around with it, but the actual formal lessons started around maybe 8 years old, and all the way up through until I left for college. It was like hardcore. I mean, I would go away even for the entire summers for months to the International Music Camp up in Michigan, study with Russian teachers there and stuff like that. It was a whole way of life for my childhood. Yeah.
Dude, that's pretty awesome. And being 8 years old and experiencing that, like, how did that make you feel?
I was a very driven kid, I guess, like a lot of kids raised by Asian parents. I think you have this sense of you have to be the best at what you do, and there's a lot of just internalized pressure to be as great as you can. And so I loved the music, but I also felt like I had to be the best one too. And so I worked really, really, really hard at it. And that discipline of practicing really hard and practicing even when it's boring, and practicing scales, and just doing all that stuff that makes you a good musician, in my mind anyway. I don't know. I was really drawn to it. It gave me structure and passion, like at the same time. And I don't know a lot of things that can do that for you,
That's awesome. And was there a defining moment where you realized you weren't just participating in music and you were committing to it? And what did that decision cost you?
Oh man. Well, I went to college. I was offered a partial music scholarship. And my parents were like, no, 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 we're not going to study music. No, 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 no. That's not a life. If you're going to go to college, you're going to study something serious. And I'm like, but I don't like anything else. and and so that was a real crossroads. Like, what am I going to do here? And I wasn't a kid that rebelled very hard away from my parents. I was always like the good kid and the straight A's, and maybe a little scared of their opinions. And so I figured I had to put music on the back burner. And so the only other thing I liked was deviant psychology. And so I studied psychology, like
Just
criminals and
right?
stuff, And I kept doing the music quietly on the side. Like if an opera singer at the college needed an accompanist, I would go and play piano for them. Or, if somebody started a little teeny band, I would go play keyboards for them or whatever. But it was so like on the back burner, hardcore. And I was really sad about it, to be honest. I think I knew then that I was sad without it.
Yeah. And then when did you make the change? I mean, did you like one day say, hey, you know what? I did college and now I'm ready to get back into music? Or was it during college you made that physical change?
Nope, it was so much later. You won't even believe the story. It was I followed through with that psych degree, and then I was like, okay, now I'll do music. And my mom was like, no, grad school. I'm like, what? And so I ended up going to law school down in Arizona, getting a law degree, becoming a lawyer, and then at 27 years old, becoming a judge in Arizona, a criminal court judge.
Wait. We're going to rewind this real quick. So hold on. So you just totally threw me off on here. I had like a bunch of questions. Like, oh, cool. But now I'm like, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah, it was a whole life that, and people didn't know about that part of me for a little while, but once it hit the press, early on, it was a big story. So I don't know who knows and who doesn't know, but it's it's a weird life story for sure.
I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean,
it's totally crazy. It's crazy. I have no explanation for how this happened.
I mean, I'm thrown off. I'm just like, whoa, okay. So I'm picturing this. So you're 8 years old doing classical, like bum bum bum. You enjoy it. Your parents are like, okay, cool. You know, it's a kid thing. Let her do this. You know what I mean? Like she's a kid, a teenager, whatever. She's gonna grow out of it when she gets to college.
Exactly.
And then you went to college, and then you're like, parents are like, oh, okay, hey, I'm gonna study music, and you're like, no, you're gonna do this and this and this. And you're like, oh man.
Exactly.
And so, did you do like music on the side when you were a lawyer or judge and stuff like that?
Yes. So I always played the music on the side. That it never stopped. And but I realized that there's my train. I realized that as I had a real career and stuff, I had, you don't have time for classical music anymore. Classical music takes a lot of hours a day just to keep your chops up. It's hard on your fingers. And so once I realized I didn't have that amount of time, I transitioned during law school to jazz. It's not that jazz is easier, but it's more improvised, and you don't have to practice as much maybe, or I guess you don't have to. But I played in a jazz trio while I was in law school at all the resorts in Tucson, and made a decent amount of money doing that, helped to pay for some of my expenses and everything. Learned a lot about jazz standards and everything and loved it. Then when I became a practicing lawyer, I realized I had even less time. And so I started playing, you're going to love this. I started playing in a rock cover band made up entirely of lawyers called Sidebar.
And what cover band were y'all?
It was called Sidebar. It was all lawyers and judges. And we played at like the local lawyer watering hole bar on Thursday nights in Phoenix. And it would get packed. And I learned about rock for the first time. I'm like, oh, I guess I got to learn all these songs. And we were playing like everything from the Eagles to Warren Zevon and like, I don't know, just every cover that lawyers like. I don't know.
And what were you playing in that? Were you singing?
I was playing keyboards and singing back up. I didn't have any sense that I had any kind of singing voice at that point. So I just was playing, this stuff, and singing back up. And then the bass player, who was also a lawyer in that Sidebar thing, said, hey, we should start an original band and just play for fun. I'm like, great, that sounds fun. So we started an original band, and I, for the first time, tried to sing and play the keyboards and write songs. And we'd play everywhere all over Arizona for free because we didn't really need the money. We were all lawyers, but we just wanted to play. And it was a great experience because I learned how to work my voice kind of, and, we put out a couple of little records and it was nice. And that led to the real turning point, which you'll get to when you're ready.
Oh, we'll get ready for that. I'm still stuck on this. I'm still stuck on the college years right now. I'm like amazed, I'm like thrown off on the questions, in my head.
Good. I caught you off guard. I love catching you off guard. That's cool.
usually I'm the other side. I'm usually catching you off guard, with some hard questions, But no, I mean, that's pretty rad. I mean, and that was your first time playing rock because you were more classical. How was that transformed from classic to rock? Was it a lot harder, or did you feel like easier because you had experience playing classical?
It was way easy because people don't realize this, but like the chords in Mozart are the same as the chords in punk rock. They're doing basically the same stuff, just in a different style. And I thought jazz was hard to learn because that is really different from classical. But
really
rock and punk sort of follow the same rules as classical. And it just came really easily. I don't know. It just made perfect sense to my brain. It wasn't hard at all.
And you said jazz was hard. Explain that to me. Like, how was it hard to play?
Jazz is hard because jazz uses crazy chords that you don't see in classical music very much. I mean, some classical music, yeah, but like modern classical, you'll see some of that stuff. But like traditional classical music, Mozart and Beethoven, you're not going to see these crazy suspended, diminished, 9 chords, 13 chords that you see in jazz, and you're not required to play off the page. You play what's on the page, you read the music, and you play what you're told, in classical. And in jazz, it's like go, man, play whatever you feel and make it good. It better be good. And you're like, damn, this is hard. Because there's nobody to guide you. There's nobody to tell you what to do. It's a lot of improvise. So.
And did you play with like other jazz musicians?
Yeah, we made a little jazz trio. There was a singer who was really good, and there was an upright bass player. And I didn't really know how to improvise jazz yet. So what I did was I found the sheet music for the songs they wanted to do. And I kind of glanced at the sheet music, and then I could kind of in my head sort of move the notes around on the fly and improvise once I had the sheet music in front of me. It was this weird blend of like classical brain learning about jazz brain. And I did that for years and it worked out fine. Yeah.
Dude, that's pretty rad. I mean, just listening to you, like I said, starting off doing 8 years old, getting into more into classicals, instead of playing, toy pianos. And then in college, you're going to jazz and then rock. So do you feel like, you said your mom's very like determined to get things done and like want to make sure everything's done. Do you feel like her well, I'm trying to think of the word I'm trying to say is like her whatever, I can't even think of the word. Like her not senses or cells, but her anyways, but she inspires you to be like that. The word will come to me later on, but I just got a word on that one. But
I think definitely her sense of discipline and ambition and like wanting to be like whatever you do it great is kind of what happens in my house and when I grew up. And if you're going to play ping pong, be the best ping pong player. Put your heart and soul into it. And that really, that sticks with me to this day. I don't even like doing stuff that I'm not good at. It's a problem. But like, it's, it gets in your head because I think you feel like you're not good at stuff. It's hard to take the criticism or something. I don't know. But yeah, it definitely was. She was a big part of why I am who I am, for sure.
And it's awesome how you can read music. I mean, or pick music quick. I mean, is that and knowing that you didn't come from a music background or anything, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it came really natural. I don't even remember learning how to read music. It just, I guess, made sense to me. I told you my brother's a doctor, and he's such a great scientist that he went to college and he didn't have to study for physics exams because he was like, no, all the formulas just make sense to me. It's fine. And to me, it was like mumbo jumbo. But that's how music, I think, came to me. Like I saw it on the page and I saw my hands on the keys on the piano, and it just translated really easily. And I think I also started learning to read music so young that it became just like learning another language. I was just immersed in this other language right away. And you get good at it really fast when you're living it like that.
And one of the things I was gonna say is that do you think because since your parents are scientists, like something about them being a scientist and all reading, like whatever they do, chemicals or stuff like that, do you feel like something like that like helped you or kind of like was in your system or something, not system, but in your mindset from them?
I definitely felt like I didn't fit in that scene. I mean, my family would do math problems at the table at dinner because they thought it was fun, and that was not me at all. I was the kid writing poetry, and I definitely felt like, okay, they don't get what I do. So whatever I do, I better do it damn well so that that at least makes sense to them. I like, it's definitely my way of trying to get their understanding and approval to be good at stuff. And even if it's stuff they don't understand. So like maybe they'll understand it if I'm really great at it. Maybe then they'll get it, like that kind of vibe.
That's pretty rad. And do you feel like, you reading music and them being scientists that kind of like, and doing math problems and watching them doing stuff like that kind of helped you to read music better?
Maybe. I don't know. That's a really good question. I I guess, sort of a logical brain. Maybe I got that from them. Like I can parse through. I took a lot of different classes in college, and I realized what I was good at, what I wasn't. And even though I wasn't good at math, I was good at like geometry. And even though I wasn't good at chemistry, I was really good at the more mathematical philosophy classes, and like where they use a little bit of math. Like, so there's a logic brain, and they say that reading music and music theory is a little bit mathy. So I guess there's part of me that can do it somewhere in there, maybe from them, but definitely they did not care at all about music theory. They did not care at all about reading music. It's funny because I have a nephew right now who's trying to learn to read music in school, and my mom babysits him. And she called me up just even last week. She's like, he's trying to learn to read music. I don't know how to help him. Here, take the phone, help him.
Well, at least they know who to call, right?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, wow. Now I'm somebody. Okay, excellent.
Now I'm finding somebody. Finally, you need me, right?
Yeah, now you get it.
But that's pretty rad. I mean, I'm just amazed, like hearing that, because I hear a lot of I do a lot of interviews, and I hear different, a lot of people have music backgrounds or their grandfather and this and that. But talking to you, knowing that you don't have any music background, and your parents are scientists, and your brother's a doctor, and it's just, to me, is amazing to what you're doing in life right now with music.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. Yeah, I don't know where it came from. It's something got to me without hearing or seeing music. It just happened. I have no explanation for where it came from, honestly.
Hey, you're killing it. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so I'm gonna go a little back up to the college, and lawyers and stuff like that. So when did your parents always knew in their back of the head that you always were doing music on the side?
Oh yeah, they knew. They knew. In fact, one of the things I did in college was I played in the marching band, and I went to the University of Michigan, which it sounds silly, but it's like huge football program with a huge marching band that's in marching band circles is very hard to get into and pretty famous. And so, I got to travel with a team all over the United States, and they won the Rose, they won all these great things, and I got to be part of that whole thing. So yeah, my parents saw me doing music all around me all the time, but I still had to get the grades, and so I was still juggling everything even then. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. At least, I mean, that's cool to have your parents support you in a way. As long as you went to college, as long as you graduated from high school and went to college, got the grades, and you can do whatever you want on the side. That's, to me, that's what I get from what they wanted you to do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they were still like, oh, that's a cute hobby, and that's still was that. I think at some level, my mom still thinks that's a cute hobby. I don't think they ever realized how much I needed it to be my life until later on.
And then when you became a judge, I mean, that must have been, and being a musician, I mean, was that a little harder for you, or was it the same as being a lawyer?
Being a judge in my mind was easier than being a lawyer because you're the one that makes the decisions, you're not spending your whole day trying to persuade people and talk people into stuff, and doing all that research and all that stuff, and having to do a lot of public speaking and all that. Being a judge is comparatively pretty comfortable. Like I could sit up there and just listen and sympathize with whoever was in front of me, and empathize with their situations, and try and help them and get them the help they needed and stuff. And, pick the jury and listen to their stories and all this stuff. And so it was an interesting job for sure. And, but yeah, I didn't tell you this part of it yet, but soon after I became a judge and I was playing in this other little band, somebody came up to me after one of the little shows and said, hey, I'm a guitar player and I want to start a band, and I have a whole visual and audio concept for it, and I want you to front it. And I just said yes. And that was the band that really took off worldwide. Unbeknownst, I did not see it coming at all. And I was still a judge. And then I had to juggle touring all over the world, doing a lot of press, doing all this stuff, putting out records with incredible famous producers and all this stuff, and juggling all that. This was before the darts even.
Really?
And still being on the bench, so it was a lot for sure.
How'd you manage that? I mean, like, if you got to go on tour a lot, because a lot of bands that got to go on tours for like 3 months, 2 months, or whatever, and you're a judge, like, how'd you manage that?
Well, it was a lot of smoke and mirrors. Like I would plan the tours so that it wasn't even a tour, really. It was just like, if you looked at our tour poster for the year, it looked like a big, long tour. But if you really drilled in and looked at the dates, it was like just long weekends, and like a long Thanksgiving weekend, or like 10 days over the summer or whatever. But you put it all together, it looks like a lot. And it was really expensive because I had to fly myself and the band to like Europe or the East Coast or Canada or whatever, wherever we were playing, play 4 or 5 shows and then fly back. And you never made that money back because you weren't playing enough shows, But I was like, well, I'll just eat the money, issue, and we'll just chalk it up to trying to get as much exposure as we could. And the band was so great. And so it was called the Love Me Nots, by the way. And the Love Me Nots traveled. We're talking about, we would get off the plane in Europe and there would be like reporters waiting for us at the airport. And like, it was such a huge thing. We didn't see it coming at all. And so, yeah, juggling that was pretty hard. There were a lot of days when on a Monday morning, my flight would land in Phoenix from Paris. I'd be on the plane all night long. My eyeliner's still on from the night before show in Paris. And I'd get off the plane at 6:30 a.m. and take a taxi to the courthouse, change into my robe, and jump onto the bench by 8:30 in the morning.
Wow.
This happened all the time, and I would do a full day of court, and then I would go home and sleep off the jet lag at 4 in the afternoon or whatever, and it was a really weird life, but I didn't know any other way to make it work. So I did it,
So my other question is this, and that's a whole new question to ask you. So becoming, being a classical person, playing classical music, and then starting getting into like cover bands, and now you're like this famous in a popular band, and you're traveling and all that. I mean, do you ever think you're gonna be doing that?
Never. I shouldn't say never. I had given up on it. I think
Really? Why?
I always dreamed of it, I always wanted it, but I think by the time I became a judge, and I had little kids by then and everything, I had baby twins, and then I had to raise, and like, I had a divorce under my belt, like everything, and life just hadn't panned out towards this music thing that I wanted so much. And I was really sad, and I really felt like I was almost ready to give up. Not give up. I would always have done it, but I was kind of giving up on that big dream, like, I guess this is where I'm going to be at. This level is where I'm going to stay. And then the Love Me Nots went and recorded. We made a couple demos before anybody had heard of this band, before it was anything. We made a couple demos, and this guitar player that started that band said his dream was to record with Jim Diamond in Detroit, who had done the White Stripes early records.
Dude, that's dope.
And so I'm like, well, there's no harm in asking. He can just say no or not get back to us. So let's send. And so we sent it to him, and he wrote back the same day, and he was like, yeah, for sure. Come to Detroit. I'll record this. We'll do it in 5 days. Let's go. And so one long weekend, we flew out to Detroit. We did this record. That record is still one of the, it sells for like $500 on eBay right now. Like, it's one of the best records I've ever made in my life. And,
I'm gonna look it up after we get done.
Yeah, it's called Love Me Nots in black and white. It's really hard to find because we didn't press all that many. It was back then. But that, between using that producer who kind of helped get the word out, like we were on the cover of like Spin magazine and stuff, like stuff started hopping right then from that record.
Should I get your autograph?
Like, huh?
I said I should get your autograph.
Oh, no. But you can have it if you want. But I always wanted to tour Europe, and so at this point I'm like, well, maybe this dream could still happen. I'm gonna whip out my credit card and all by myself call a bunch of venues in Europe and see if I can get a tiny little tour put together, like 5 shows. And so somehow I did it. And I think because, they knew that we had this pedigree, this producer behind us and everything, and we weren't just anybody. And got the shows lined up, flew the band to Europe on my own dime. And the real turning point in my life came when we played the final show in Paris. And this is a great little story. This is a band that dressed up, by the way. We dressed up. It was a really serious garage rock sound, like really classically garage sounding, like the old 60s bands. And we dressed in these black and white go-go dresses, really short mini dresses with go-go boots, and our hair up in bouffants, and our amps matched our dresses and our guitars matched our amps. And it was like a whole visual experience on top of everything. So anyway, I'm all dressed up, getting ready for the show. And somebody writes to me and says, I'm with a record label in France, and I'm going to come to your Paris show tonight. Do you mind meeting with me before the show? And I'm like, sure, that sounds great. Yeah, there's never been any label interest in us yet. That sounds good. The rest of my band didn't want to go. They thought it was nothing. They were tired with jet lag and all that stuff. So I just put on my go-go dress. I had to walk through the sex district of Paris to get to the venue. And so here
Everybody's
I am.
looking at you like, oh, who's this girl?
Seriously, I'm marching through the sex district all dressed up in this go-go outfit, dragging my keyboard behind me. And it's crazy. But I go to the venue and I meet with this guy, and he's with this label called Bad Reputation. And they weren't like a huge label, but they had really great connections. He signed us that night. And that was an amazing thing because he had some of the best booking agents, some of the best publicists. And all of a sudden on our next trip to Europe, like we were mentioned on the cover of Rolling Stone, and all the shows were huge, and we were playing with the New York Dolls, and like all kinds of crazy stuff was happening all the time in Europe. And so that was the real turning point where I was like, okay, this dream is not dead. I might be old now. Like I was like 38 at this point. I'm like, for a pop person, I might be old, and I might be a judge, and I might not fit the mold at all. But people, at least in Europe, don't seem to care about any of that. And maybe this could be a cool thing. And so then I started chasing it really hard.
That's awesome. And do you feel like starting, I don't want to say old, but starting at that later age into like the pop or to the punk scene and all that, and has that like a disadvantage or advantage?
I don't know. I guess there's pros and cons. Like one of the pros is that I know a lot more about life, so things don't faze me as much. Like if my monitor's not working, or if the lights are terrible, or if the green room smells, or whatever, I'm so grateful to be doing this. So finally, exactly what I want, that none of those things faze me at all. Whereas I think a lot of musicians, especially really talented ones that I've worked with, get really annoyed by that stuff. They want good conditions. They want good everything. There's a little bit of arrogance, I think, that creeps in, a little bit of entitlement. And I just never feel that way. So that's really paid off because I feel like I have to be super nice to everybody and really appreciate everything. So that's a good thing. And also later in life, I had a little more funding. I had this career, and I was able to, finance a band that was touring all over and making a record every year, and doing all this stuff that a lot of bands can't afford to do at all.
Yeah.
So that was the good stuff. The downside was that I'm really careful not to put my age out there. Luckily, I look a lot younger than I am, and I can get away with it. In Europe, they don't really care about age.
I'm calling 29.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Let's go with that. That sounds good.
I'll call 29 on that. But I mean,
it's
that's
funny
pretty...
though, because in Europe, they know how old I am, and they point blank, they're very blunt there, and they ask me, "How old are you?" And like they don't care at all. They have like 80-year-olds playing stadiums there still. They don't care. They're fine with it. If the music's good, Europe does not care. America, I feel there's a lot of ageism, and unless you were already famous in your younger days and you're like now a legend, you don't see a lot of artists breaking out when they're older, and it's really sad because there's so much talent, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And a couple questions on to what you're saying, what you just said. Did the music world knew that you were a judge and lawyer or not?
Well, at the first show the Love Me Nots ever played live was in Phoenix, of course, and it was at a little tiny art gallery. Nobody knew who we were, so there weren't many. There were like 3 people there, and one of them was a photographer. That photographer took a picture of the band and immediately sent it to the Phoenix New Times, which immediately did a cover story on us. So this was from the first show. And so we're on the cover of the Phoenix New Times, which is all over town, you know, and I'm terrified because I'm like, oh my God, I'm a judge here. I didn't want the judge people to know that I was in this band, and I didn't want the band people to know out there in the world anyway that I was like a judge, because I didn't see how the 2 worlds could mix ever. And sure enough, my presiding judge came in to my office, to my chambers, and slams down a copy of this Phoenix New Times and says, I don't think our city council is going to like you doing this. And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, look at what you're wearing. That doesn't look very dignified. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. First of all, my mom made that go-go dress, and you know, she's from the 60s and she thought it was very dignified. But second of all, if I was like an Olympic swimmer, gold medalist or something, I would be on the cover of the Phoenix New Times in a swimsuit with my gold medal, and everybody would be fine with that. So come on, you know, this is just a different kind of success in a different field. And he kind of shrugged his shoulders and like, good point. And he kind of walked out, and that was it. I never heard from them again. Like, it was always fine. In fact, 10 years later, they're retweeting my tweets, like a picture of my band and going, you know, we're not your grandfather's court and stuff like that. So it all worked out. It took a minute for everyone to figure out how this is going to work, though.
But I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I think that judge was kind of like testing to see what you're going to say, but then you hit him with one little punch, and he was like, "Okay, you're right."
I just think he didn't know how he was going to explain this to the city council. Like, I know. And I mean, Arizona's pretty conservative, you know, it's very, especially that area I was in was kind of Mormon and conservative. And I don't know, it was a hard thing to try and just pass off, you know. But then over the years, I started realizing, you know, there's a ton of lawyers who are frustrated musicians, who are great musicians, actually, and like me, followed a different path. And so they're really stoked. A lot of them would come to my shows. My own security officers at court would come to my shows and follow my band, and the cops and everything. There were a lot of really cool people in that world that love music and supported it. So that was kind of neat.
That's awesome. I mean, that's awesome to have that supporting, you know, them supporting you and say, hey, you know what? You're not doing anything wrong. You're just living your life outside of court. You know, they probably look at what you're doing as releasing frustration and stress by doing something different, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was still a little sad that I couldn't just drop everything and go on tour, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, God, that's all I want to do is write these songs and go on tour and go record. But I can't, because I got this job, and this job is important to me also. And I took the job really seriously. When you have people's lives in your hands, you know, it's criminal court. You have their lives in your hands, and you can't just mess around with that. That was a very serious situation to be in. And every day I felt that responsibility hard. So I knew I couldn't just walk away from it. I needed the money. I needed all of that. I still had a family to raise and kids, and, you know, eventually that went to college and stuff. And like, I needed to keep it, but I really needed to do the music. And it was a really frustrating situation. To be honest, I was pretty depressed for a lot of it. And then one day later on, my therapist, of all people, said, hang on a second. You need to look at your life. You have a job that is paying for you to do this thing that you love, is okay with you doing what you love. And someday you're going to retire with like a pension, not that long off because you started so young. And you're going to walk away with this pension, and you're going to be able to do the music full time while you're still but relatively young. Where's the gratitude? Be grateful. Be so grateful for this. You know how many people would do anything to be in your shoes right now? And I walked out of that therapy appointment like, oh my God, she's so right. I need to find the gratitude here, you know?
Well, she's 100% right. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, the universe, like gave you, guided you, what I'm trying to say is the universe kind of had you on the right path, but took you around what you wanted to do. Like you said, you always dreamed of being a musician that travels to Europe and do things and have a band or whatever. But the universe was basically saying, no, 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 no. We're gonna do something different. We're gonna not make you, but have you go down this path to go to college, to get your degree, get you this, and then I'll play with you on the side with music, and we'll build from that. I mean, think about it.
That's a really beautiful way to look at it. Thank you for that. That's a really nice way to look at it. Yeah.
I mean, like, it's honest truth. I mean, like, you're living a dream. You're living the American dream. I mean, you definitely are.
It really feels well, and especially because I was able to finally get that pension and retire, and I was still young enough, and my bands were hopping, and everything came together. I was able to move up to where I wanted in Seattle, and not only one band, but two bands are going whole hog all the time, and with beautiful people surrounding me and a great team. And it really feels like a dream right now. Like I knock on wood every day. Like I cannot believe this all came together. I can't believe it.
You know what? And you manifested it when you were 8 years old.
Yeah, maybe.
Think about it.
It was a damn long wait, but okay.
No, I don't want to say 8. When you first pushed that little play toy piano, hit that one button. That's when you started manifesting your whole entire life. You think about it. So. That's basically a movie in your own mind.
Well, people at reality shows have come to me, especially when I was still working as a judge, and like, we want to do a show, and I was like, I ethically can't do it. I'm a judge. You can't come into my life. It's not allowed. But yeah, there's been some talk of that.
Dude, that would have been awesome. A judge Nicole as Judge and Phoenix, daytime, nighttime, musician, punk rock, grunge, classical, whatever you want her to do. This is what she does. That would have been awesome, dude. I would have watched that, but that's that cool judge.
We'll make that movie after I'm gone. After I'm gone, we have to see how it ends first. Like, let's wait till the end.
Well, you know what? It's never going to end with you. I mean, you got the talent. Like if you look at it, you have read music since basically when you were born. You came out of your mom and boom, you started reading music. You started playing music. I mean, you look at it. I mean, I'm trying to think of a famous musician from back in those days, those centuries ago, whatever, But I mean, but you have that talent. You have that talent that like a lot of people got to go to school for and get that talent, what you have,
Thank you. Yeah, I think and it's funny because in the rock world, most people have no formal training. They are almost all self-taught. Almost nobody reads music at all. And they are so talented. Their ears are so good. To me, that's just a whole different kind of talent than what I had because reading music was how I learned music, and I don't know how they did it. It's amazing to me. It's incredible.
Nah, but it's awesome. I mean, and then you're right. I mean, there's, kids that's, our ages, that picked up a guitar and like in the parents' garage, like, hey, let's do a garage band, let's just play music and see what we sound like and annoy the shit out of our neighbors with our bad music. And then also now they're famous musicians. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's like you said, it's kind of like the American dream, and I have to say, you're right. It came to me late, but here it is. It came. I mean, some dreams take a long time.
Yeah. And and you experienced Seattle's music culture up close. And did living there shape your artistic mindset, or did it push you to define yourself separately from the legacy?
Well, it was hard, I thought, to get. There were good things and bad things about starting in Phoenix. It wasn't as saturated with music and musicians as a lot of, artistic cities are, like Seattle. So if you started a great band in Seattle, I'm sorry, it started a great band in Phoenix, you could get to the top quickly of the town. You could get a lot of attention fast. The best clubs would hire you fast. It was a much quicker ride. And like if we had lived in LA, it would have taken a way longer time, I think, to rise to any kind of time, because there's just way more competition. There's just more saturation. Same in Seattle. There's just a lot going on. So Phoenix was a good place maybe to start a band, because we could do that quickly, and we could get a lot of attention that also translated to other cities when we went on tour, because we had already gotten so much press in Arizona that someone in Boston could read that press and go, oh yeah, okay, I'll book them. Whereas they might not book the equally great band out of LA that hasn't got that attention yet,
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely is true. I mean, it's anything skateboarder, surfer, musician, actor, whatever you want to do, moving into LA, yeah, and yeah, Seattle too, because Seattle's known for its music scene, and LA is just it's everything, and going into LA trying to be like, and I see it, I don't live in LA, but I see people that, like, when I go to LA, I hear people, oh, I'm gonna be an actor, and I'm thinking in my head, like, you're one of trillion of people here right now trying to be an actor. You know what I mean? But I wish you best of luck.
Exactly. It's so saturated with great talent. It's not just it's saturated with people who are just looking to make a buck or make it quickly. There's real talent in these cities, but they get drowned out. They get diluted. And Seattle's really unique because it still feels like a small town. Like in the rock world, everybody seems to know each other. But my experience in, for example, LA and New York is that there's a lot of competition. It's a feeling like people are a little bit more backstabby, and they're just crawling their way to the clean. They're clawing at each other, trying to get what's available. And it doesn't feel like that in Seattle. In Seattle, everybody's playing in each other's bands, going to each other's shows. I moved here. I wasn't even from Seattle, and I was welcomed with such open arms, to the point where, get this, I'm starting this Black Violet jazz thing, right? Nobody knows anything about it. I barely know what I'm doing. And I go out looking for musicians.
I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing because you said, I don't even know what I'm doing.
I felt like this is a whole new genre. I'm starting fresh. It's a solo project. I don't have really anybody else on board. I don't really know how to do this. So my first stop is I'm going to start going to jazz clubs in Seattle and just start looking at musicians, and maybe someone will be interested. So one of the stops I make early on is this tiny little really cool club called the Rabbit Box. And I'm like one of 3 people in there on a Wednesday night, or it's 4 people. And playing on the stage are these incredible jazz players, like people I've never heard jazz played this well. And they also had hip hop guys doing rap and everything. And it was just an incredible experience. Their drummer was mind blowing. So after they were done, I go up to their drummer and I'm like, that was one of the best things I've ever seen. How come this place isn't packed? He's like, oh, no. We all play in a ton of projects. He goes, I'm the drummer for Digital Planets, and I'm usually playing on stadium tours, but I'm back now, playing here for free.
Wow.
And that's like how Seattle is. So I asked him point blank. Sorry, there's the train. I asked him point blank, I'm starting a jazz project. I don't really have it. I mean, I know I've got the songs. Would you be maybe interested in drumming with me? And he was like, absolutely, send it on over. I'm like,
No
what?
way.
Because Digital Planets was one of my influences for Black Violet, like their upright bass sound and their horns and everything and their beats. Okay. And to have that drummer now on my record is crazy, knowing that I just met him on a Wednesday night when nobody else was in the club. Like, it's great. That's how Seattle is. It's nuts.
So how's it feel to have the drummer from Big Old Planets on your part of your team? You know,
it's a freaking dream. I have no words. I couldn't even believe it when he said yes. And, he's a busy guy. He plays in a lot of things. He's on tour a lot. So he's not on every track on the record. And he's only done a handful of live shows with us. But he's there if I need him. And he's the sweetest sweetheart you'll ever meet in your whole life. And he's just one of a zillion people that jumped onto this project. I mean, on this latest record, I have Blag from the Dwarves sings on Black Violet record with me, and Jason DeVore from Authority Zeros sings on it, and Tom Hagerman from Javachka is on it. And, it's just crazy, the people that have stepped up onto this project. And they're all just sweet people who love music.
And I'm gonna circle back to what I said earlier. The universe, man, it got you on the right path.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Think about it. I mean, so you retired from being a judge and all that stuff, correct?
Yeah. So I knew the exact date, because in Arizona, they do an equation. It's like your age plus the number of years you've worked for the government. And I had only worked for the government from the minute I got out of law school. So you add those two numbers up. When you get to a certain number of points, you can retire with a full pension. And which means you get a salary like for the rest of your life, basically.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And it's not your full salary, but it's a decent amount. It's fine, And
you can start like 5 bands if you want to.
Huh? What was that?
So you can start 5 bands if you want to,
Well, I'm working on that.
we'll get to that too.
No, two's good right now. But yeah, I had the date and the exact hour of the day that pension was going to be available to me. And I had it on a Post-it note on my desk in my chambers for a good number of years before it came. And it kept me going, And I still remember, it was September 29th, 2022 at noon. And so here we are. It's September 29th at 11:57 a.m. I'm still on the bench because it's running late. And this woman's in front of me crying, telling me about her life. And the clock strikes 12, and my security officer looks at me, and I look at him, and I'm like, okay, we stand in recess. I am out of here. I turned off the microphone and walked away. And I got on an airplane that night, and went on tour, and I've never looked back.
And so it's like that. So like the security knows when it's time for you to go.
They were my friends. They were my friends. They knew the whole story. And plus, they knew I had to plan for the last day and everything, and have a judge coming in and all that stuff. So yeah, everybody knew when I was going to be gone. And when that clock struck noon, it was just like everybody started laughing, and it's like, that's it. That's the end of the career. It's over.
And you jumped on the plane and didn't look back.
I never looked back. And I mean, I don't say that because I, have bad feelings about it or anything, but it was just, I was so happy to finally do what my heart wanted to do,
And are your parents happy what you're doing now?
Yeah, they're thrilled that I made it to that last day. I think they were always a little terrified. Oh God, she's going to quit. She's going to quit and throw this all away, and I didn't. I stuck it out. And so they're really thrilled about that. My mom's 87. She's about to turn 87, and she will come to the shows. She might not always like the music.
She comes to the shows?
Black Violet, actually. She likes the Black Violet stuff a lot. But she'll come to the shows. She'll help me sell merch. She'll,
no way.
I don't have room where I live in Seattle for all the records that need to be stored and all the merch. So she stores it at her house, and her dining room is full to the ceiling with all my merch and my records and stuff. And my bands will always start the tours there at her place. So we pick up the merch and we stay at her house, and she feeds everybody. And I don't know, it's a lot of really cool support. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, she loves what you're doing.
She's so happy to be part of it too. It just makes her happy to feel useful, and she really is, like, it's really helping me a lot. So.
And she's a groupie. She's one of your groupies, right?
Well, yes and no.
Not a bad way groupie, but a good groupie, you know?
No, yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't know that she still isn't like a music person. She cannot believe that people buy tickets to go hear music. She cannot believe that people will buy a record and listen to it. That's like unfathomable to her. So she's always like, I don't know. I have a lot of records in my dining room. Are people gonna buy these records? She's all worried. And I'm always like, no, don't worry. People buy records, people buy shirts. You know this. You tell me, you help me sell merch. You know this. And she still can't, it's so foreign to her, this whole world.
That's so awesome, man. And so you started your own company now, right? Meow Hess Music.
Yeah. So even down in Arizona, I always had a business. Actually, it was even a record label for a while. It was called Atomic A Go-Go. And because the Love Me Nots didn't want to really sign with a label, we had that label in France for Europe stuff, but in America, we didn't really want to sign with a label. We just wanted to do it ourselves. And yeah, it was cool. Like we could press the records whenever we needed them. We could store them ourselves in our own little back house. I did all this shipping. So, it was like multiple trips to the post office every week. It was all that stuff. And eventually, later on when the Darts started, the Darts got signed to Dirty Water Records in London, and they wanted to start a U.S. arm of Dirty Water Records, and they asked me to run it. So now I'm running Dirty Water Records USA out of my garage in Arizona. And so I had other bands on that label, and I was shipping their records too, and all that stuff. So I've always had like a company to bring in the profits, and it makes tax time a lot easier. So when you have a company. So.
IRS, you didn't hear that, did you? No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no, I was a lawyer. I got to do everything on the up and up. So.
You know the ins and outs. Okay, I know what it is. No, I'm joking. But that's, that's just awesome. Like literally awesome to hear your story and to know what you started as and became, and then now, you're living the dream. You're living the dream, like I said before. You're living the dream that when you were a toddler pushing that little first button on that plastic piano,
It's unbelievable. To go from that, it's so hard to explain, but yeah, I just yesterday, this is a true thing that happened yesterday. I did an interview with one of my favorite US radio stations, WFMU out of New Jersey. I love them. And I thought it was just going to be a little interview and they would play a song on the radio, whatever. Well, I tuned into it, and it was a 1.5-hour segment just about me and my music. And they followed they traced and played songs from all my bands and did the interview. And I'm listening to this like in tears, like, how did this come about? This is shocking to me that one of my favorite radio stations is doing this. It's not, I don't even live there. It's on the East Coast, it's just, it's so hard to believe that this is my life now. And so I guess the message out there to everybody who's wants to give up is don't, do what you love at the highest possible level you can and give it everything you've got. And it might pay off, it might not, but man, your life will be the way you want it to be if you're doing what you love.
No, you're absolutely right. You know what I mean? Like, because if you think about it, there's a lot of people that give up on things. They're like, I don't like this art I'm drawing right now, or I don't like this and that. I'm just going to throw away and try to do something different. But if they stick to it and do it, it will be beautiful. It will be successful. Yeah. You're a walking story. I think literally.
I think if you do something really, really well, it is going to come to the attention of somebody who can run with it at some point. And it just will. It has to. If you're really good at it, it will come to their attention. And you have to put it out there to make sure people see it. But all it takes is one person. All it took was that one person in France to come to an unknown Arizona band's show in Paris. And it changed the entire direction of my life.
And you walked like in a go-go dress in the middle of a sex area and this is the guy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do the work. You got to walk the walk.
I'm picturing this right now, like not bad way, but just picturing it like, okay, this girl walking through France in the sex area section, and all these people looking at her like, and you're dragging the keyboard behind you, and the expression on your face like, oh, and everybody's like looking at you like, who is this person? And then all of a sudden, there you are,
Yeah, like it's the weirdest little story, but that's exactly how it went down. And you just never know what is going to be that moment. And so the other thing I've learned is to say yes to things. I say yes to the weirdest stuff. I do a lot of session work on the side too. I don't just play in bands. And people will write to me and be like, hey, can you do vocals on this thing? Or can you play keys on this thing? And I'll just say 9 times out of 10, if I have time, I'll say yes. And just the other day, somebody wrote to me and asked me to do vocals on a song, and it was so beautiful. I said, who are you? This is a beautiful song. And it turned out he was the guy that was behind the Netflix series American Gothic from years ago. And he's writing these beautiful, dark songs to put on films and movies. And just because I said yes to this random person, now we're making an album for film and TV. And like, you just never know what is waiting for you around the corner. It's so cool.
And it's absolutely true. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, it has to, and I'm going to circle back around. The universe, always has plans for you, me, everybody, but it's all up to us if we're going to take that path or not. And I mean, if we're going to stick to the same old path that we're so used to, or are we going to take the path that the universe opened up the doors for us to help us push us a little bit? But we're the ones that got to push ourselves to go to that path. But sometimes that path is scary,
Oh yeah, we're capable of so much more than we think we are. If you get home from your day job and you're exhausted and everything, and you just don't turn on that TV, instead you like get in front of your microphone and your laptop and you start creating, or you start painting, or I don't know, whatever it is that you love, go fishing, whatever. And do it like hardcore until you just drop at night and go to sleep. It's amazing what you can do in those 8 hours. It's a whole other day that you get, that you can do anything that you want. And people just, I don't think they make use of those abilities. They sell themselves short.
I mean, think about it. I mean, that's what you did. I mean,
that's exactly what I did. And it was because I would think all day long about, a song I wanted to write or whatever. All day long, this would be running through my head. And in the commute home, I'd be singing it into my phone, into the voice memos, trying to remember what the riff is and everything. And I get home and I throw dinner together really quick and I run to my little studio because I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get this down. And before I know it, 6 hours has gone by, and that was my every single day of my life. And if more people did that, think about what we would have out here in the world now. How many great things would be invented and created that people just thought they were too tired to do. And they're not really.
It's just the mindset, we just get caught in the same old bubble every day,
Yeah. Fight the bubble.
There we go. Fight the bubble. There's a song for you. Fight the bubble.
Pop the bubble.
Pop the bubble. Hey, so I got a couple more questions. So
okay.
Out of all the bands you've been in and been part of, and even with jazz and classical and all that, what is your favorite band out of every band you've been into? Or music, whatever.
Oh, wow. My favorite of all my bands. Well, these are like my children. I can't really pick one.
I know. But I mean, something that more sticks to you more. You know what I mean? Well, like something that you were laying in bed one day or that night and sometimes like, oh, man, I remember that time. That was such a great band. That was a great time,
Both the Love Me Nots and the Darts have been that for me. It's just shocking to me what both bands accomplished. The Love Me Nots opening for the New York Dolls at 24 hours de Mans, which is a huge, it's like Formula One, and it's like a huge thing. Playing in front of thousands of people, and they're throwing roses onto the stage and chanting for more. Those are the stories you just can't I can't believe it. And the darts too. I mean, just last summer, I was crowd surfing on like 10,000 people in front of the ocean in France, you know, and I don't know, just crazy things have happened with these bands. But I do have to say that I think the band that has given me just the most personal satisfaction is this new Black Violet project, because it's really the first time that I've created something that is just totally from me. You know, no shade on any of my bandmates in the past. They're all brilliant and wonderful. But I always collaborated with people or felt like maybe I was writing to somebody else's ear a little bit. And Black Violet is really just what I hear in my head and what I might want to turn on when I'm home alone, you know, and to watch that project get its feet and then get its traction and then start touring and then have people coming to the shows, have people crying at the shows, have people like, the thing about Black Violet is it's just, the songs are really personal. And so I take a minute before the songs start in almost any language, depending on where we're at. And I translate it so that I can tell the stories even no matter where we are. And I make sure that the audience knows the backstory of the song. And so it becomes really one-on-one personal. And the audiences aren't big yet. It's a small project still. It's still very unknown. But for those people that come to the show, it's a really, they respond so deeply and emotionally. It's shocked me. It's shocked me. Our very first show in Europe last year, we played in Dunkirk, France, and somebody wrote like that night, I'm still crying after this show or something like that. And I was like, what is going on? This is amazing. And to have this little tiny idea in my head turn into this thing, or start to turn into this thing, I should say. I don't know. I'm really excited to see where it goes. It's really satisfying.
Dude, that's so awesome. I mean, just to know your story, your backstory, and where you're at now, it's very amazing and very touching. I mean, because there's so many people out there that want to do what you're doing and or want to be where you're at and this and that. What can you say to those people?
Oh my gosh, do it. It sounds so easy to say, just do it, you know, but
sounds like that Nike commercial. Just do it.
I mean, there was something to that, you know, yeah, turn off the TV when you get home from your day job and just make it happen. Nobody is going to help you make your life the way you want it to be. You have to do it. And you do it in baby steps. That was another thing I learned from my agent in France. You do it in tiny steps, you know, little things here, little things there. Make this bass line even better. Make this vocal sound even better. Make that song even better. There's the train. and like, if you really do whatever it is that you love at the highest level you humanly can do it, someone's going to notice and someone's going to run with it and help you run with it. And you got to be ready. You got to be ready. My bass player in the darts was like, recently, was like, you know, I've got this day job and I just always felt like that call was going to come to go on tour. And so I've been saving up for it and I'm ready to go, you know, like it's, you gotta be ready and you got to believe in it. And don't give up on yourself. You know, just don't give up on yourself. There's no reason to. Why would you? All you're going to do is lose. If you don't give up on yourself, you might win. You know?
Nah, that's so true. Is basically what you just said. Just don't ever give up and just keep on doing what you're doing. And you know, and people might shoot you down, just keep on doing it,
Yeah. I mean, I'm living proof that you're never, I don't think you're too old to do the stuff that you love to do. You just have to freaking do it.
Age is just a number. That's all it is. It's how you live your life.
Especially nowadays. Like, everybody's a lot healthier than they were 20 years ago. And everybody's, I don't know, just a lot more aware of how to take care of themselves. And, like I'm vegan and I'm sober now. And I've never been healthier in my life. My doctors are like, who are you? You're so out. And we know how to do it now way better than we did. Mm-hmm. And so we might as well take advantage of that. We might be around for another 100 years. We have no idea how long we're going to live now.
No, we don't. And then the last question before we take off, what do you have coming up for 2026 and where can people find your music? Well,
2026 it's going to be the busiest year of my life. I'll either survive it or I'll either won't survive it or it'll be the best year of my life. It'll be one or the other. We start our tour next week on March 6th. Black Violet goes out first. And then Black Violet goes to Europe. And then the Darts meet me in Europe and do their tour in Europe. And then Black Violet goes to the East Coast. And then the Darts go to the East Coast. And both bands just keep hopscotching each other. I'm basically going to be on tour or in the studio from March 6th until December 6th.
Oh my gosh! But you're gonna breathe, right? You're gonna get out
and breathe here and there. There's little breaks. There's little breaks to come home and repack and get your prescriptions filled and get your mail and all that. But basically that's the deal, and that's how I want it, And then in December we'll take another few months off and we'll write the next. We'll do all the stuff. It's like that. We have a routine. And so we go back into the studio. Both bands go back into the studio in August to do the next records, which are actually already written. And it just, hopefully the wheel never stops grinding. But it's going to be a heck of a year. We're going to Japan and Australia. We're going to all over the US. We're playing some huge shows with some incredible acts that I'm not even allowed to talk about yet. And I don't know, just we're doing 2.5 months just overseas in Europe, starting in October. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
And where can people find your music at? Websites, any kind of platforms?
Yeah, both bands have a website. That's probably the best way to find it. It's the name of the bands. So it's blackviolet.com, and Black Violet has 2 I's in Violet. And then for the Darts, it's thedartsus.com. And so, you go to those sites. It's a link tree, and it'll walk you through all the links, anything you're looking for, whether it's merch or tickets or schedules or whether you live overseas or here. It'll walk you through what you need.
That's awesome. And you hear that, guys? Check them out. They're amazing. Trust me. Definitely amazing. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for coming on 101. And I personally want to say congratulations on your success. Just hearing your story and how your background and how you manifested when you were like a little kid and to where you're at now, and in between stories and being a judge and a lawyer and all that. I'm proud of you. What you got in your life right now, you 100% deserve, because you're true. Like I said, you're living an American dream. You're living your dream that you wanted forever, and you finally did it. But one thing you never did is what you said. You never gave up. You fought for it.
Well, first of all, it's really nice to talk to you. You're really cool to talk to, and your insights are really nice, and they really they're beautiful. So thank you for that, Tommie.
Oh, don't tell anybody that. I gotta sound like a jerk. I'm joking.
No, it's great. It's so nice to talk to somebody who gets it. So thank you for that.
Well, no, and you are coming to San Diego, right? You are.
Yes, we're going to be. So Black Violet will be there on March 15th at Whistle Stop, and I'd love to have you there as my guest. That would be great. And then the Darts will also be there in May. So I'd love to see you at both shows. That'd be so cool to finally meet.
Yeah, send me email me.
You got it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for coming on. And hey, You're kicking ass, girl. Keep it going.
Thank you. Thanks, Tommie. We'll see you in San Diego.
I don't go on tour, I go to war.